Welcome back to Great Day SA. New season, new garden, but same you? Well, let's put some pizzazz into your greenery with a local pro. Kristen Urban is hanging out with John Bloodsworth to get our fall gardens ready. Kristen, I know you've been practicing that green thumb for a long time now.
Yeah, Roma, you know our gardening expert, John Bloodsworth. He's got us covered this morning. John, it's great to see you.
It's good to be here with you, too, in my garden.
I'm loving this fall outfit, I must say. So I dressed like a bumblebee this morning, and I'm kind of regretting it because the bees, they love your garden, and apparently they love me.
They love you. They do.
Right.
Definitely.
But we're here today to talk about transitioning our gardens into fall.
Right.
And so I want to know everything when it comes to what plants are trending this season, what colors are trending this season.
Well, you know, we've gone with a lot of fall color here. Most of the things that you see here now in your garden, nursery, or wherever you shop for your flowers, what we've done is we've mixed a little bit of grasses and ornamentals as well as herbs and lettuces that you can eat, so you can eat out of your potted gardens as well. And then we brought in things like pansies and snapdragons and even our marigolds, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And these are things that you can put in pots or you can plant into the ground. Now, most of these things are pretty winter hardy, except for our marigolds. Now, our marigolds are beautiful, and they're, you know, our flowers. You know, they're so right for Dia de los Muertos and on into Thanksgiving. But these won't do well when we get to the really cold temperatures. But there's plants right now that are not quite in the nurseries that are still just a little too warm for South Texas, like violas and dianthus, and especially cyclamen. We love to see the red and the white cyclamens during the Christmas season. So if you've got marigolds planted in your garden or in a pot, you know, you can transition those out. But most of the other things here will last, you know, up until winter.
And you were telling me even before this, just a little bit of advice when it comes to some of those plants that maybe don't do well during a freeze or maybe just a little cold front. Your advice was just to bring them inside, you said?
Yeah, that's the beauty of putting things in the pots, because if it does get too cold and we get a really deep freeze, you can just take these things, put them into your garage, put them on a carport and cover them up. Or, you know, if you've got the luxury of bringing them into the house and putting them someplace in the house, you could do that.
Yeah, and something else that I thought was really unique was these pots over here really showcase how you can bring in some like Thanksgiving fall flaring.
Yes,
but just through the pots that you're choosing. So is that something that you would recommend just going to a local gardening center for?
Sure, or you know, we're fortunate enough to be so close to Mexico. And so a lot of my pottery, a lot of my terracotta things are vintage pieces that are picked up over the years in traveling trips. And a lot of other people do that too. But where the best place you can find things like this at garage sales, estate sales, flea markets, because there's such a plethora of this terracotta around San Antonio, you're probably not going to find a lot of it in the gardens today. But some of these older vintage pieces, you know, you can go shopping for.
Yeah, and I know you have some advice for our viewers at home as well. I don't know too much about pruning, but when it comes to fall gardening and pruning, what is your advice? Because I'm noticing this plant, maybe a couple of these leaves need to be pruned off.
Well, I just happen to have some pruning shears for you right there.
Perfect.
And just where you've shown, just take and just pull it and just snip them off.
So would you recommend, like, see this portion up top I can tell is dead, but this portion still has some color. So do you think like
yes, absolutely.
right around where
especially
maybe it's
with
starting to die?
With your grasses, it's not going to hurt at all to snip off that piece and leave the rest to grow. You know, these just recently came from the nursery, and so somebody might not have been watering as well as I'm going to water.
Yeah, sure.
So some of the ends are dry, but that's just real easy to do, to just prune it and make it look really good again.
That is so easy. And speaking of easy, you are also giving me a little hack for people who maybe aren't the best at gardening, but really want to elevate their home this fall.
Absolutely.
And I know you have that set up over here. So
you know,
what is all this?
It's so easy. If you can't grow something, just take a little bit of moss, put it on a pot, pop a pumpkin on top. You never need to water.
That is so easy. And like you said, this cannot die. You do not need to water it. So if you don't have, you know, a green thumb at home, but you want to, you know, add a little flair this fall, I love that
there
tip.
There you go. And you know, you can do that and then just very simple little one flower in a pot, and you've got your fall decoration.
This is all so beautiful, John. I know people at home, they're going to want more advice from you. You're so chock full of advice.
I am full of it, right.
And I understand you're posting a lot on your Instagram now, advice for people. So how can people reach out to you? How can they find out more?
My hashtag is Little Cabin in the Heights, and you'll see pictures there. You'll see things in the garden. You'll see outdoor ideas. You'll also see some decorating ideas with tablescapes, things that you can do with plants and your tables for the holidays.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, John. I feel like every time I come out here, I learn something new, and I know our audience hopefully does as well. And Roma, speaking of Instagram, I noticed that you've been throwing some pots and things into your new home. Are there any of these plants that maybe stand out to you to maybe add to that?
Yeah, I actually love all of them, Kristen. I do love that pumpkin idea too, but Kristen, can you ask John if I can have a staycation at his little cabin? It is so cute over there. It looks like a little Wonderland paradise. Thanks so much for all those tips, Kristen and John.